To the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mayor Candelora.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth.
Here.
Councilor Angeloni.
Here.
Councilor Caprio. Councilor Diamond.
Here.
Councilor Esposito. Councilor Fawnin.
Here.
Councilor Fusi.
Here.
Councilor Rose.
Here.
May I have a motion to approve the October 1st, 2013 WPCA and Town Council minutes?
Actually, we're going to have to table this again because we don't have enough here to vote on it, but that were there.
I have a motion to approve the January 7th, 2014 WPCA Town Council.
So moved with one correction. On page 3, item 8A, under the community center update, when they talked about the proposal from Hibbert on the second line, it's not for a handicap toilet modification, it's for a unisex bathroom in the senior section.
I'll second.
Moved by Councilor Angeloni, seconded by Councilor Fusi.
The only thing I would point out, in their proposal, they do say it's design services for the handicap toilet modifications.
Yeah, it's not though. I mean, we talked about that as permanent project and also made that decision.
Okay, well, we can talk about it later,
Yeah.
but that's the way they
Right.
responded in their proposal.
All right, moved by Councilor Angeloni and seconded by Councilor Fusi. Roll call?
Mayor Candelora.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth.
Yes.
Councilor Angeloni.
Yes.
Councilor Diamond.
Yes.
Councilor Fawnin.
Yes.
Councilor Fusi.
Yes.
Councilor Rose.
Yes.
Water Pollution Control Authority meeting agenda. Item 3, correspondence, citizen statements. Item 4, unfinished business, discussion and action. New business. Item A, WPCA application to connect property known as 1209 Foxen Road, map 18, lot 3, to sanitary sewers.
Good evening. Before you is a request to connect property known as 1209 Foxen Road into the existing sanitary sewers in Foxen Road. The sewers were installed back when Route 80 was widened over half a dozen years ago. The property owner would like to connect into the sanitary sewers, and under our current regulations, they're required to pay a special connection fee in lieu of an assessment to tie into the sewers. And the connection fee, the amount of the connection fee is based upon the square footage and the use of the proposed or the building to be served. They have a 7,870 square foot commercial building, which equates to basically at 1,000 square feet per unit. It equates to 8 units to be paid for a special connection fee. The first 5 units at $4,000 per unit, and the additional 3 units at $2,000 per unit, for a total of $26,000 for a special connection fee. The owner had requested that they be allowed to pay it in, in a couple installment payments. However, the regulations basically require for the payment up front, either at the time of issuance of a building permit, or in this case, because the building's already there, a sanitary sewer connection fee. So that's pretty much it. I did prepare a suggested motion, basically, that requires them to install the sanitary sewer connection in accordance with the town's rules and regulations governing the installation of sanitary sewers, that they be required to pay the special connection fee of $26,000 prior to issuance of a sewer connection permit, and that the property owner enters into agreement with the town stipulating these conditions. It said agreement meeting the approval of the town attorney and executed by the town manager. Pretty much a standard procedure with us.
I'm just wondering, that's the typical fee, it's that much?
Well, it's based upon square footage of a building.
Uh-huh.
A small building, they pay a whole lot less.
Is there anything to do with the age of the sewer line or the assessment like that? or-
No, it's based upon the square footage of the building and the, pretty much it, and the use. We had a similar one come before you on Foxen Road, which was for the dollar store, which is 10,000
Yeah,
square feet. It was a little bigger,
yeah.
newer building, but that, based upon the square footage, I think theirs was about $28,000. Again, it's a suggested motion before you, for consideration.
Is that still going ahead, the dollar store?
As far as I know, they're getting all their, ducks in a row and,
Where's the location on that? Is that before the gas station? Between the gas station and the liquor store?
yes,
Yeah.
that open,
Thank you.
been open for 25 years or more now.
Thank you.
And,
I know, I want to read it.
here it is.
I'd like to move the motion as presented to us.
I'll second it.
Moved by Counselor Angeloni, seconded by Counselor Fucy. Roll call.
Mayor Candelora,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth,
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni,
Yes.
Counselor Diamond,
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin,
Yes.
Counselor Fucy,
Yes.
Counselor Rose.
Yes.
Item 6, citizen statements and petitions. Regular Town Council meeting. Item 7, reports of committees, boards, and commissions. Item A, Economic Development Commission.
Yeah, not a whole lot to report that hasn't been reported in the press. The charrette was a great success and very good turnout. And we recorded 87 in terms of signatures, but there were quite a few other people we didn't get. And so it was like close to 100 in the cafeteria there. I want to thank the school system for providing us with a great venue and, really giving us everything we needed there. It was a great show, a great discussion, and we'll be meeting later this month as soon as Alan Plattis has a chance to bring all of the comments together and bring the report together. Then we'll be able to sit down and evaluate that and look at possibly, we had talked about a second if necessary, just to give people, another opportunity if they miss the Saturday, if were busy or out of town. So I'll be able to report back after that meeting, after the report comes back. But very positive. The group was very engaged, and of course, the mayor, the deputy mayor were both there and can comment on that as well. But I thought, in my view, it was very productive.
I've had a lot of people stop me and say they really, really were very impressed with the whole program going, because it's the first time they've ever gotten asked what their opinion is, I guess, in a venue like that. And it was really something.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. I believe there was over 100 people or close to 100 people there. And there were a common core of what people wanted. And Central Plaza seemed to play a major part, or a major role, if you will, in this project. And hopefully, the owner of Central Plaza, can come to the table as well, because in hearing all the discussions, Central Plaza seemed to be a major player or stakeholder in it. But it was a very good turnout. Item B, Permanent Project Building Committee.
Permanent project met on January 27th. We did discuss the community center. There is a lighting plan design that was presented by the town engineer in Franny Marola that they drew up to work with the budget. We have numbers on the parking lot, So right now, the steep grant, the second steep grant money that we have, the bulk of that money is going towards the lighting in the parking lot, the paving of the parking lot and the lighting. We did discuss the bathroom to be installed, the contract from Hibbert to go in there, and it was agreed that it's really not a handicap bathroom. It will be a unisex bathroom that will be put in down in the senior section, but will have grab bars, that type of thing. But we already meet the ADA requirements for handicap bathrooms based on bathrooms that were renovated when we did the whole place. So this is just an additional bathroom closer in the senior section, and they're looking at exactly what spot they would put it in there. And as far as anything else for the community center, locker rooms or fitness center, stuff like that, that is all basically on hold until we get firm numbers on the outside work that will be done in the springtime on there. And they also discussed the high school roof project, and that they are going to make sure that the items that were discussed by the council, that Councilor Rose had brought up in regards to things in the bid specs, that those are in the bid specs, and getting the bids ready to go out so that they're out on the street shortly, so that the project is ready to go in June. That's it.
Oh, did you mention the lighting in the parking lot?
Well, the lighting design, there was a local company from North Branford who put a bid in on the lights that they were going to design, and they had laid out lights, which was basically outside of our budget. There was too many of them within our budget. So Franny and Kurt looked at it and pared it down as to what we thought we could get by with. And they're actually going to look at it with like an electrical company to make sure that we have sufficient lighting
Coverage, yeah.
On that, because they are redesigning the parking lot entrance and stuff. So we may have to add one or two back to that to accommodate for that.
Right. All right. Thank you, Rose. I'm just, if I can, add item C, the fire department. I attended the fire commission meeting. It was a very good meeting, and there was a lengthy discussions, one of which was about burning permits in town and the fee schedule. I didn't realize it, but the fire marshal actually has to go out, take photos. They put a lot of work into this, and the fire commission discussed possibly changing the fee schedule. I believe it was going to maybe annual rather than just a one-time fee, and also ways to enforce people that are burning without permits, which is somewhat of a problem. And they have, I think, come up with some very good ideas that they said they're going to present to the council. There were a few other discussions on some other areas that they are going to bring to the council, so I'm not going to get into those right now because it's not my place, it's theirs. So, and I'm just going to ask Chief Stewart, if he doesn't mind for 1 second, to get up and want to talk about the possible training.
The training?
Training?
Sure. I was actually going to come up in the citizen statements. So just to keep the town council advised, the fire department took delivery Friday of the new rescue truck to be quartered at Company 1 on Boxon Road. And through the graciousness of the town council, that was afforded to us in last budget. We anticipate that sometime before the end of February, we can place that in service. And working through the fire commission and the town manager's office, we'll have a public ceremony for the ribbon cutting, if you will, for that vehicle. With regards to what the mayor just spoke of, in the capital incentive program information tonight, you'll see an area that $20,000 could be earmarked for fire training, and it's identified, it was identified earlier this week as Swycheck property. I would reserve that Swycheck property as not being the placeholder for the site. As most people know, in the past 6 months, the fire department had a review by the Insurance Service Organization, or Insurance Service Office, ISO. That sets the fire protection ratings for the community. And without having a formal written report finalized by ISO, I would be somewhat reserved in giving out what the fire rating would be. However, off the record speaking, we would tend to believe that we're going to move from a split rating 4.9 to a 4.8B, which is a reclassification from ISO that was recently devised last year. That has the tendency to reduce the insurance costs for residents and commercial property owners in the areas where the fire service protection increased. So it wouldn't be the community as a whole, but it would be portions of the community where you may see a decrease in your fire insurance. And one of the areas that ISO reviews specifically is training. One area that we can improve on is the ability to train our firefighters. Now, throughout the state, there are regional fire schools that are funded through the state's budget. So if we utilize those, it forces us to move out of the town with our personnel and our apparatus. That's a problem. And I need not tell you why that's a problem when we take the trucks and personnel out of the community that we're here to protect. We would have to go to New Haven or other communities as far away as Waterbury or Hartford to the next regional school. We do from time to time bring our assets to Wallingford. Again, we're out of the town. And for the longest time, there's been a lot of discussion of establishing a training area in town. That would also serve to benefit not only our personnel, but also have the tendency to increase certain ratings within the ISO schedule. So working through the Fire Commission, we have established that $20,000 would give us a good placeholder to start a training area, I won't say facility, but a training area in town. And originally we had worked through Public Works and looked at an area identified behind the DPW. However, when you look at what we want to do, there often raises the question of whether or not DEP regulations come into play, permits, so on and so forth. So to kind of simplify matters, we're looking at an area where the old town dump used to be, long before my coming to the community. And on the Sierra Road end of the street, there's a hydrant. So it gives us good water supply, but it also is like a NIMBY, not in my backyard, so to speak. So we don't have to worry about baseball taking place or any other athletics that could be interfered with by apparatus movement behind Public Works, or possibly even the generation of smoke if burning was to take place. So it would be off the main road. It would provide us with an adequate water supply, and it would be kind of on a dead-end route in town that would allow us to meet our goals. So when you look at the incentive program tonight, there's $20,000 that is earmarked for that purpose. So if you have any questions, I'll be here for a while to look at that. And if you have any questions right now, I'll be more than glad to try to answer them.
Well, I will say, I learned at one of your meetings, when you showed the map of the fire hydrants in our town.
You'll see that map again March 8th.
Yeah, that really opened my eyes as far as where our water is and isn't. And I know with the ISO rating, that played into our rating.
And believe it or not, I mean, a lot of people take fire protection for granted because they don't need it. And when they do need it, everything we do is, from the fire service standpoint, is predicated upon having a good water source. And if you look at the map of the town, as the mayor just stated, a large percentage of the town is without adequate fire protection because of water supply. Now, if the Regional Water Authority would be kind enough to run water mains up Route 17, then we'd be gaining quite a bit from a fire protection standpoint. And without that done, there's other ways in which we can enhance our fire protection water supply. So that'll be coming about as well. So you're right. The more you get involved in the fire service and listen to how it's provided, you'll learn that our community is somewhat deficient in certain areas. That here we've identified an area that we're deficient in, the ability to train at a regular site on a regular basis. that would allow us to improve not only our ISO rating, but comply with NFPA and OSHA regulations at the same time, for money that's very wisely spent. And again, we would work with our other partners, being DPW, state DEP if necessary, and our own volunteers who, many of them have trades that are very beneficial in this type of atmosphere. So that $20,000 that we're looking to earmark would be very well spent funds to enhance what the fire department does on a regular basis.
What would it take to make that, or what do you need for that type of facility or training area?
Well, I'm sure that at some point we would need to come back to planning and zoning. I guess even though it's town property, we haven't talked to Carol Zebb and company, but to establish something permanently or semi-permanently up there, I think there's still some discussion that needs to take place, and that really, the foundation that we're looking to put into place by having that $20,000 earmarked is a good placeholder to get that moving.
Chief, the only, you may run into a brick wall down there. When it was the town dump, the community of Ledgewood off Notch Hill, it's residential property adjoining the town property, and it's right there. And we had issues with, if the dump was on fire or the smell and all that, so, or people worried about their water being polluted, so.
We would have to do a really good public relations
I
campaign.
know that would be really more, I guess planning and zoning would deal with them, but I don't know that I wouldn't start building over there yet.
Yeah, me either.
So.
You're right, Counselor.
Okay.
And like I said, it's a learning experience for all. So if we educate them in really what we're looking to do as an objective,
Yeah,
I think it
if
would
they're
work.
educated on what you're gonna be doing there.
Exactly.
So.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks.
Okay, item 8, Town Manager's Report. Item A, Community Center Update.
Yeah, not a whole lot to add. Rose had pretty much covered it, but the lighting plan is coming along. Kurt, Fran, myself, working on that. Got to get an electrical engineer to look at it at some point, and I think we can, with Michelle's help, Knockwood, look at the state, something off the state bid or local trades or something like that. We can get somebody on board to take a look at that. So that's moving forward. The architectural, the contract for the architect is in your packet tonight. That's hopefully that will be approved tonight. We can get going on that. Otherwise, things are moving ahead.
Questions? Okay. Item 10, Citizen Statements, Petitions, Correspondence.
Roger Walnut Lane. Hasn't been here in a while. One of the things I want to say, I don't know if any of you people have been there, maybe Joanne might have been. The senior center over there at Family Williams School, that is excellent. I've been in there a couple of times. The meals are real good, and the people over there do a tremendous job. Which is going to lead me right into the next thing. I'm still looking to get some kind of a senior tax freeze in this town. I feel that if Guilford can have one, we can have one. I have to sit down, or our committee, my committee, school committee at least, would be glad to meet with any of you people before you bring it into a item on the agenda. It really got to happen, and it's got to happen pretty soon because the taxes are still going up. I don't know if you're aware of it, but food prices are going sky high. Medicare has already gone to where we're going to pay more. Gasoline is going sky high. Fuel oil is going sky high, and the income is just staying where it was. So I don't know how we can do it. I know we've been trying to meet for the past 2 months. We do have a plan that we want to do. Mike knows, he was at all the meetings. We do have a plan that we want to just present to somebody. And I really want to do that, so I don't know how we're going to do it. If you want me to meet you someplace, I'll gladly meet you, and anybody, or the 3 or 4 of us will meet you someplace.
Okay.
But it's something that does have to be done.
I don't like to break your bubble, but I just read something about Guilford's trying to get rid of that.
Well, if there's people that have it, I'm sure they're not going to want to get rid of it.
I don't think so either. I'm waiting for the next issue and with bated breath to see what's going to happen, because they're they're saying that they don't think they should have it. I don't know.
Their income level.
Probably some young whippersnapper like you.
Yeah, well, their income level, $95,000, that's
I
a
know.
little steep.
I know.
I'm looking to get 70, 65, or 70, and that's.
I was surprised to see it. I was thinking of you when I read it.
You know, if inflation gets worse and worse, that $70,000 is gonna have to be increased, because I gotta sit down, or we have to sit down with some of the council members, and you gotta hear it the way it's presented. How are we gonna do that? Please, somebody get hold of me to do that,
Okay,
you know, okay?
you got it. Thanks, Roger. Anyone else? Okay, moving on to item 11, resignations and appointments. Item A, resignation, Bruce Wentworth, Park and Recreation Commission.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the resignation of Bruce Wentworth from the Park and Recreation Commission with regrets.
I'll second that.
Moved by Counselor Angeloni, seconded by Counselor Diamond. Roll call.
Mayor Candelora.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth.
Abstain.
Counselor Angeloni.
Yes.
Counselor Diamond.
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin.
Yes.
Counselor Fucy.
Yes.
Counselor Rose.
Yes.
Item B, appointment of Phil Dahlmeyer to Permanent Project Building Committee, TVES and NBHS roof
I'll make that
projects.
motion to appoint Phil Downer to
I'll
Permanent
second.
Project Building Committee.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Wentworth, seconded by Counselor Fucy.
I just have a question in regards to this. In the past, our appointments from the Board of Ed to permanent project haven't been for specific projects, because if something else comes up during this time, I don't think technically they would have to appoint someone else. Their reps have usually just been appointed to the permanent
that's
project.
true, right.
And then any project from the school system that comes up, they
Right.
serve on that.
Yeah.
So I don't
So we should
think we
remove
want
the
it.
roof.
And we already
projects.
appointed Phil Dahlmeyer at our January 7th meeting.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, we already appointed him to permanent project.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only brought it back only because talking with the clerk, that's the way it's stated in the, I guess in the ordinance or charter in terms of the appointment, so,
What, that it's a specific project?
yeah.
That whole committee was a specific project. Unless it got changed, it was always, if there was a building project, you had a committee for it, and at the end of that project, that committee was done. So somehow, we've turned it into a ongoing committee.
Right.
But I don't know that we've ever changed that in, like, let's say when we did Jerome Harrison, there was a permanent project building committee appointed by the council for the Jerome Harrison project. And then we reappointed them to the next project, like the auditorium
Oh,
or
okay.
something. So, I don't know why we have to keep reappointing them. I agree with you that maybe so maybe we want to look at and just make it a permanent, the word permanent, permanent project building committee that's just there, and then you can send stuff to them, and all the people on it would be there. But unless someone has a reason why we only want to do it for one project.
I think the way it was set up so that different boards, like if the school board was doing something, they would recommend someone for appointment to it as an alternate and
Okay.
a member.
That makes
That's
sense.
the way it was set up a long time ago. I just can't remember that back that far, but that's
So
the
you want
how
to leave it the way it is?
And then you'd bring the fire commission in yeah. I
Make it
think-
the fire, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so, because they know what they,
Works for me.
I don't know how the ordinance is written, but, the problem that I see is that if there's another school project that comes up while these people are on it, they wouldn't be able to serve on it.
Mhm.
If a
And
project come up, they'd come back here and we'd appoint them to that project.
the
too.
Board of Ed would have to appoint them, would have to appoint for that specific project. And in the past, I know they just served during anything that came up, so, it doesn't make any difference to me, but the way it's worded.
Right.
Board
You
of
don't-
Ed just has to send us a letter saying their recommendation is so-and-so for the particular thing.
Okay.
So- And we approve it, that's all.
We're happy they're willing to go to a meeting.
That's right.
All right, so we're gonna leave it as is with
Yeah, we'll do the, because
specific project.
when he was
Okay.
appointed in January, it was just to the
Just to-
building.
right.
To the building committee, so we can do it as stated.
All right,
Okay.
so that was, let's see, moved by Deputy Mayor Wentworth, seconded by, I believe, Counselor Fucy. Roll call?
Mayor Candelora,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth,
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni,
Yes.
Counselor Diamond,
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin,
Yes.
Counselor Fucy,
Yes.
Counselor Rose.
Yes.
Okay, item C, appointment of Edward Cordino to Permanent Project Building Committee, TVES and NBHS roof projects.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Angeloni, seconded by Counselor Fawnin. Roll call?
Mayor Candelora,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth,
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni,
Yes.
Counselor Diamond,
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin,
Yes.
Counselor Fucy,
Yes.
Counselor Rose.
Yes.
Item D, appointment of Lou Paternoster as alternate to Permanent Project Building Committee, TVES and NBHS roof projects.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Angeloni, seconded by Counselor Fucy. Roll call?
Mayor Candelora,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth,
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni,
Yes.
Counselor Diamond,
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin,
Yes.
excuse me, Counselor Fucy,
Yes.
Counselor Rose.
Yes.
Item E, appointments to town boards and commissions as per attached list from the town clerk's office. I know they're meeting this evening. I haven't received any appointments as of yet. I don't know if you have.
They should be ready for the next meeting.
Okay. I would like to, if I could, appoint a liaison to the North Branford Police Commission, and I would like to ask Marie Diamond, Counselor Diamond, if she would like to serve as liaison.
I'll make the motion to appoint Marie Diamond to the liaison to the police commission.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Fucy, seconded by Counselor Fawnin. Roll call?
Mayor Candelora,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth,
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni,
Yes.
Counselor Diamond,
Abstain.
Counselor Fawnin,
Yes.
Counselor Fucy,
Yes.
Counselor Rose.
Yes.
All right.
Congratulations, I think.
You wanna do Joe?
I can't really do any appointments I get.
Okay.
As far as liaisons go, I mean,
That's fine.
the fire commission is another important one that needs a liaison. I've been attending those meetings. I don't know if there's anyone here that would like to do it. I'd be more than happy to continue doing it if no one else has the time or objects.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Anthony Candelora liaison to the fire commission.
I'll second that.
Roll call?
Mayor Candelora,
Abstain.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth,
I'll have to think about it. Yes.
Counselor Angeloni,
Yes.
Counselor Diamond,
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin,
Yes.
Counselor Fucy,
Yes.
Counselor Rose.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's see, moving on. Item 12, unfinished business, discussion and action. Item A, updates to the defined benefit plan documents, police union tabled from July 9th, 2012.
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet. Item B, capital improvement plan, the CIP for 2013-14.
Good evening. As you all are aware, this current year CIP has been kind of a saga that we should have adopted several months ago, but with the confusion over the state aid for municipal projects, that second column over from the right, getting clarification as to what would be an eligible cost in there. We do have clarification now. This is the proposal that Mike and I would like to put forward. You'll see in that column roughly $166,000 of identified projects. Realizing that we did get roughly $380,000 of funds in that column. You might ask why we left $120,000 on the table. I think we're being realistic on the 3 steep grant proposals for the recreation renovations of the tennis courts at Northford Park, Memorial Park, and Stanley T. Williams. If one of those, if one or all of those don't get approved, it leaves us the ability to move $120,000 out of that column into this project and do one of, you have to triage and rank those projects. But one of those $120,000 projects would then be accomplished if the steep funds do not come to be, which just trying to give ourselves a little bit of a cushion. In that grant column, you see the first $21,000. That was a grant that was funded by the records management. You signed off, I believe, a month or two ago that Lisa utilizes. The steep grant are the 3 tennis court projects. Towards the bottom of the page, the 2 security grant projects, the $9,000, $25,000. Again, if that doesn't materialize, the projects don't get completed. And then the TVES roof replacement, the grant being the standard school construction grant. What else has changed on this form since the last time you saw it was under the public safety. The chief had mentioned the fire training facility, again, identified initially as Swychuk Park. That could be changed. We can change that to the former town dump, assuming that it all goes through. And the remounting of the second ambulance coming out of other funds, comes out of the ambulance fund. So that's a new one. That was earmarked by the Fire Commission last year to take place this year. The first car was remounted currently, just got back a couple months ago, and then this was next in line to handle that one.
And where is that coming from?
The ambulance fund.
Oh, okay.
That's what other funding there. So my motion is to send it back to P&Z for a second 824 with the revisions, and then once they send it back to us, we can get, finalize this current year CIP. Again, that should have been done months and months ago, but with the confusion, we now have clarification. And the other thing I'd like to change too, in talking with the town engineer, you'll see under Public Works section there was a $90,000 earmark for road reconstruction and $200,000 for pavement overlay. The 90 doesn't really buy him too much. We'd like to move that 90 down so that reconstruction, the overlay becomes 290. So to cross off the 90,000 under where it says reconstruction and just make that 290 for the pavement overlay section. I'll fix that up and give it to Carol with the revisions on it.
And since it's been discussed that the TVS roof replacement would not occur in this fiscal year, that
Right.
it's pushed off for another year,
Yeah.
is there any point in keeping it on here for 13-14? Where it's not gonna happen,
Well,
according to.
it's not going to happen until the next fiscal year. I mean, it really has no bearing. The bond funds are those surplus bond funds that we're going to reallocate. So it's not like we're going to bond anything new. So whether we approve it under this year's CIP or hold off till next year's CIP really is roll next year?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Any other questions about it?
And a while back too, we had discussed about fixing the curbs. Is that in the road?
The $50,000 of curbing money?
Yeah,
That was costs that we are trying to get through the FEMA reimbursement.
Okay. Right,
Yeah.
okay.
We finalized all
Right.
those papers. In fact, I just got interesting. I got a email today from FEMA that they've changed the regulations on Sandy. We had to redo all our applications for Sandy with some verbiage that was, a federal act was passed about where the funding was coming from, so it's a saga, another saga.
Gotcha.
So Sandy, we have the money, we got the money for the emergency protective measures, and we got the money back for the replacement of the apparatus tarps that were damaged. We're waiting for the reimbursement on the debris removal cost. In the past, whenever we've had these storms, typically we've gone to the local burning official for a permit to burn the debris. We did that at the same time for Sandy. The regulation came out after the fact. You needed a state permit to approve the burning of the debris. And our comment was, if you had told us back at the meeting, initial meeting, we would have gotten the state permit. And they're kind of holding up our reimbursement, working on that whole thing with the, why we didn't get a state permit to burn the debris. We never have before. We've always done with a local permit. But, and then the blizzard, those costs were all finalized and submitted last month, so hopefully we'll get that money back soon as well.
See if we can't twist like the state rep's arm on that stuff.
Well, yeah, there's a gentleman speaking this Thursday at our Government Finance Officers Group, Dana Conover from the state. He's a liaison between to FEMA, so I'm going to try to hit him up then and see if we can get it resolved. Any other comments on the CIP?
So the state aid grants for municipal project in LoSiP, that's the state money? Those two together?
Well, the town aid road is also state. The new one is that middle one, the state aid, the grants for municipal projects.
Right.
That's the new one this year. LoSiP is the one we've had historically. And that's about the $90,000 is earmarked as you see it there. The $20,000 for the thermal imaging cameras has already been spent. And the boiler converted version of Town Hall, quite honestly, has already been spent. So you have the $50,000 towards the pavement overlay and the shingles on North Farms Park that have not been spent yet out of that LoSiP money.
Okay, so the column to the left of that, the state aid for municipal projects, the 166?
Correct.
That's the one
That's the new one.
That's the new one, and you said we have
383. So I left about 120 on the table just in case one of those.
Right, okay, that's what I was gonna ask, because on the tennis courts, that's what we had originally talked about.
Right.
From the LoSiP money.
Right, so we're gonna apply it for them as a steep grant.
Right.
But if they don't get the whole steep grant, which I'm just trying to be realistic and say, okay, we still do
You still have money.
rank one of those as the most severe,
Right.
and put that over there and get that project done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Need a motion?
I just had one quick question, Anthony. On the replaced shingles on the pavilion at North Farms Park,
Yes,
that's $50,000?
Or five.
No,
6,000.
6,000.
Oh, 6,000.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, first one.
I understand, but I haven't seen it myself, but they're basically, you can see
Yeah, no,
right
that
through
sounds-
to the roof.
That sounds-
to the
That
roof.
sounds right.
Yeah, that's what, during the budget season
Right.
last year, when Franny gave it to us.
I'll move the motion I proposed.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Fucci, seconded by Counselor Fawnin. Roll call.
Mayor Candelora,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth,
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni,
Yes.
Counselor Diamond,
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin,
Yes.
Counselor Fucy,
Yes.
Counselor Rose.
Yes.
Item 13, new business discussion and action. Item A, quote from Seward and Mondi on review of Parks and Recreation Department.
Yeah, I have requested opportunity here to bring in our town auditors to take a look at our recreation department. You know, having a conversation with Michelle, who is the lead auditor, just kind of, highlight a couple of things that they were looking at. And with the change, the new building, the layout, where we have offices and where we have our desk, it was just, I thought it would probably be a good idea to have an independent third party come in to review the internal controls and record-keeping procedures to make sure that, we're up to snuff. And more importantly, if we're not, that we look at any deficiencies that we need to bring up to, up to snuff, so to speak. So she had prepared, there was a scheduling issue with her not coming here, so she'll be on the next one to present the actual audit. But while I had her, I said, if you could give me a quote to look at this, what it would take. She figures about 24 hours at a, $100 an hour to perform that study for us. And I think it would be money well spent, and it would give peace of mind to know that, our internal controls are good. Because it is the third, outside of town hall, we take in a lot of money. Credit cards are used and so forth. So I want to make sure all of that is secure and our record keeping is up to par.
I would like to make a motion to council approves the proposal by Seward and Mondi as outlined in their letter of January 27th for review of the Park and Rec Department accounting systems, policies and procedures, and to fund through contingency.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Angeloni, seconded by Deputy Mayor Wentworth. Just a quick question. John, is this any type of contract that you would need to review, or is it pretty standard language?
Well, as I understand it, they're just gonna make a quote,
Right,
and for this,
service.
for this service. They are already implanted as our auditors, I suppose, so I think it would come within the scope of our general authority.
Good. All right, roll call?
Mayor Candelora?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth?
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni?
Yes.
Counselor Diamond?
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin?
Yes.
Counselor Fucy?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Item C, quote from CCM for labor services.
Yeah, this is,
Oh, wait, yeah, I'm sorry, I checked up. I gotta jump back to B. Thanks, Rose. A Stanley T. Williams Community Center contract for architectural services, Hibbard and Rosa Architects LLC.
yeah, this is the contract we mentioned, talked about. And I think it was maybe even before you, or we had talked about the concept, I think, in terms of getting this done for the bathroom. At least I think you'd seen it before in a draft form. But this is, I think we had, I can't recall, but I think we added something, there was some other level of detail, I think, in terms of the fee schedule, I think is what we added.
That's what I'm thinking.
But Hibbert is the architectural firm. We, piggybacked on he's the one we're using for the roof, so we have that for the Stanley T. Williams Community Center.
I don't know about anybody else, but the cost of just design strikes me as
It's a little high.
enormous.
For a bathroom.
We're getting just a facility of one small bathroom
Right.
A toilet and a sink
in an enclosure.
in an enclosure, basically, yes. That was-
Al, you do this stuff all the time.
Should be able to do the whole
What's the
job
design
for you.
guy?
I was waiting for that.
You could put the
You
bathroom in
could
there.
just open the ADA book, and they have a nice floor plan of a bathroom. So, I don't know.
Is it necessary for a permit there? I mean, I don't, that should almost be design build, I would think.
$8,800
It's just the
drawing
design.
a bathroom.
Yeah, that's,
You could build a bathroom for that.
right, that
Should
kind
be
of
damn
jumped
close.
out. Right.
And that's not with expenses.
No,
They want, drawings are 40 cents per square foot. Spec books are 15% of cost of printing, plus 15%. And a postage.
Better to get a bus and take people down the hall on the bus.
I would think the whole project shouldn't cost $8,800.
Are we, I'm not familiar with, what are we doing there? Are we turning an existing bathroom
No.
into
No.
this?
Making a
So
new
we're
one.
gonna add a bathroom?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, on the,
so is there plumbing somewhere near this
Ah.
bathroom?
What it is, there's an open room, and in the beginning of the project, we had scoped out where the sewer line was. Remember the portables down the end of
Yep.
the building? There is, I believe, was it a 3-inch or 4-inch line they found running to the sewer? So they're gonna bump out a wall in one of those rooms and add a bathroom. So
Bump out an exterior wall or an interior?
No,
wall?
Interior.
interior, and
it's
there-
just to frame a bathroom inside, in the back of the,
Chop
of
the
the room.
floor and pick up
Right.
the 4-inch line.
and there's a
And
cut,
is
there's
this,
a,
this is what you said is the unisex?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just to have, because the only bathrooms are down on the other end, it was the only section that there were. And so this puts a bathroom down in the senior section.
What was
So
the
that they-
problem with the bathroom in the kitchen? That they were gonna
it's not,
renovate?
yeah, it's not really doable
Oh,
with
okay.
the
The layout where
layout
it is.
of the,
Yeah,
where it
and the
is.
amount of room
But
that it
Al,
has.
there's already a running sink in that room.
So we have water
So
and
you have
sewer
water,
Right.
right,
there.
and drain there, yeah.
I mean, I would think that the building official could open his book and give a floor plan of a bathroom. their quote doesn't include any structural.
Yeah.
So that's there whether we hire them or not. And,
Correct.
I mean, I would almost go to make, I would talk to the building official first and then see if we couldn't put it out there as a design build. I mean, any plumber and contractor can build a bathroom. For $8,800, draw a bathroom is crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so let's,
I mean, that's, I wouldn't have been surprised to see the bathroom come in for that much money total.
that's what I was thinking when I first read it, that maybe it included the bathroom.
Yeah.
Especially in this environment,
Wow.
I mean, we're talking like 8 by 8 foot bathroom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sink and a toilet.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, whatever ADA is, what is it, 40 across,
5 by 8
you know,
or something.
a handle?
I would move to table this, and then maybe Michael could have a conversation with the building official and get his thoughts on, I mean, I know when I was working as a building official, if you go to and I know I'm dating myself, but if you go back to like the 2000 ADA book, you open it up and there's all these plans for a bathroom with how many feet you need and where the grab bars have to go and everything. I mean, the work's done for you.
But it's
You
not
just
even a
follow
handicap
that book.
bathroom.
You
And
can't
it's
go
not,
wrong.
and it's not even a handicap bathroom.
Right.
Yeah, but I wouldn't build a bathroom in
That
a
section.
town-owned building that wasn't handicap accessible.
Right.
I don't think
It'll
you
be-
wanna do that.
Yeah, it'll be ADA.
I mean, we're building a new bathroom, let's build it right.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
But,
okay.
I mean, any thoughts,
I'll
No,
It was
it's
just, yeah, I think that's reasonable. I mean, the only thing is, the project was done without an architect, so we bring an architect in, we take him off state bid without having the cost of bidding it. That's just what came out. So, yeah, yeah, I don't necessarily agree with it either, but sure, I think that's a smart play to table it. We'll go and get some additional information. I'll talk to Tom and see if this is something to be done under a design build and get that done that way.
One second, Al's motion to table.
All right. Moved by Counselor Rose, seconded by Deputy Mayor Wentworth to table the Hibbert and Rosa Architects LLC $8,800 design.
I really thought it was the bathroom, right?
That's what I thought
Okay.
at first, then when I looked at it again, I said,
That's what I
what the hell are we paying for?
Roll call?
Mayor Candelora?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth?
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni?
Yes.
Counselor Diamond?
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin?
Yes.
Counselor Fucy?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
yes,
Quote from CCM for labor services.
Yeah, I put this in here as well, and I think the memos, I try to outline the fact that we're going into labor contract negotiations that you're aware of, and CCM has a database that I'd like to be able to use going into that. And I think it's a reasonable price with a lot of data and information. Justin and Rebecca are here from CCM if you have any, questions with respect to the data. But I know a lot of other towns use it, and it's a wealth of information. And for that price, I think it's a good value.
Is this full membership or just membership for this purpose only?
That would just be the half-year membership, and then it would be 800 going forward into next year's.
But are you limited in terms of the services you can avail yourself of? Is
Oh.
it just for labor negotiations or for everything they offer?
No, this is very specific to labor contracts.
But we already are CCM members.
Did we renew that last year?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're in
Okay.
the general, this would be an added
It's a special service
Like an
added
added
on top of
service.
it, right.
It's worth it.
Just for labor negotiations?
It's worth it.
Okay.
It produces, it keeps the town manager up to date on all settlements for all non-certified employee groups throughout the state.
Right.
It highlights certain awards that come out in all subjects, not only wages, but health insurance. It's definitely worth it.
I'll move the motion.
Historically, we've subscribed to this, and we split the cost typically with the Board of Ed half and half throughout the years. And since we've been out of CCM, we've kind of stopped doing it, but it might be worth pursuing that next year as well, give them the information as well, so it works out well.
So, I mean,
Who moved the
we're
motion?
gonna go ahead.
I did.
I'll second it.
Moved by, who moved it?
I did.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Wentworth, and I think it was seconded by Councilor Rose.
Yes.
Yep.
Roll call?
Mayor Candelora?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth?
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni?
Yes.
Counselor Diamond?
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin?
Yes.
Counselor Fucy?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Item D, resolution for North Branford High School roof project application.
Yeah, the memo I prepared explains that the Bureau of School Facilities requested that they redo the resolution specific to the language they were looking for, and that's why this is back here. This and the next agenda item for the drawings. This is specific to the funding, and the second one is specific to drawings.
And then does this make the paperwork complete?
Well, I have to get that over to Kim tomorrow, and they get it up to the state, but I don't know, I'm not aware of any other items that we need to do. Kim may have one or two that she was working on that,
Okay.
and I don't know the status of that. But this is our end of it, in terms of your end of it, to redo these resolutions. They had one other item that we didn't have to redo, which was, I think, the town resolution on the going for, or that we had a permanent project building committee in place. That was accepted. These two were not, and they asked us to redo the language.
I'd like to make a motion, be it hereby resolved that the town council authorizes the North Branford Board of Education to apply to the Commissioner of Education and to accept or reject a grant for the proposed roof project at the North Branford High School under project number TMP 099 DLPJRR.
I'll second.
Is it conceivable that we would actually reject it?
I guess, or, yeah.
Grant.
Yeah.
To reject the grant money, I guess, coming from the state, if you've decided to reject it.
All right, I guess it's innocuous that it's in there. It just strikes me as bizarre that we would ever reject a grant.
Right.
But this is the language that they provided?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this, you know, this goes back to the EDO 49 and that whole roof project. This has been going on for quite a while, and we're kind of
This is the new roof, though. This is the one that we haven't done yet. This is the new roof
This is the
project.
new
New
roof?
one.
This is the one that's ready to go to bid, right?
Correct.
Right. This is the new one, and then
Oh,
once
this
we...
isn't the one, on the
Right.
other email.
But I
you
have a
sent me.
contact,
Oh,
and once
okay.
we get this done, we'll go back and revisit the old roof.
Okay, yeah, this is the new one.
Yeah,
that
because I
hasn't
had an
been done
email on the EDO 49 as well. All right. Okay, moved by Counselor Angeloni, seconded by Counselor Fucci. Roll call?
Mayor Candelora?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth?
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni?
yet. Yes.
Counselor Diamond?
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin?
Yes.
Counselor Fucy?
Done.
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yep.
Okay. Item E, resolution for North Branford High School roof project drawings.
I'd like to make a motion, be it hereby resolved that the town council authorizes at least the preparation of schematic drawings and outline specifications for the proposed roof project at the North Branford High School under project number TMP 099 DLPJRR.
Second.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Angeloni, seconded by Counselor Fawnin.
Who drafts this crap?
Roll call?
At least.
Mayor Candelora?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth?
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni?
Yes.
Counselor Diamond?
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin?
Yes.
Counselor Fucy?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Okay. Item F, budget workshop dates for the town council.
I'd like to make a plea to reconsider March 8th.
I'm gonna have a
another-
problem on the 8th as well. I can be here for like the first hour and a half, but I've got to leave about 10:30.
I'm
To
not
be
gonna be here.
an appointment at 11.
Any chance we could make it the 15th and the 22nd
Do you have a
instead?
problem on the 8th too?
Yeah, I'll be away.
So you got 3 people you're gonna be missing on the 8th.
Right. So March 8th is the day we gotta shuffle.
There is another Saturday, you have the 22nd, if that's not too late.
March 26th, I don't have a problem with.
I don't have a problem with them. I mean, yeah, it's before the public hearing, so you're
Yeah.
still
March
fine.
is 22nd.
That would be the, yeah, the third, that would be the third Saturday.
Okay.
I mean, Anthony's in here, I need to speak to them, but we can contact them, but if that works for,
That's, okay.
because the other thing we could do is if you move Park and Rec and Library and put the bigger, the bigger ones on the 15th, and move those to the 22nd.
That's fine with me.
Whatever.
Because they're the bigger departments.
I'm sorry, what?
They're the bigger departments.
You mean move the ones from the 8th to the 15th?
Moving the ones from the 8th to the 15th. and
Maybe
then-
did the chief leave?
Yeah, he just
Yeah.
left.
Yeah.
Oh. Why don't we just advise them that we had to change the date and then see if there's a problem for any of the departments to come in? on
Give
the
them the 2
22nd?
dates and see once who can make it,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So scratch the 8th and go with the 15th and the 22nd.
15 and 22nd, please.
Okay.
All right.
No Saturdays are good for me, but I'll try and attend some of them. I may not be at any of them.
All right. Let's see, item F, we just covered. Item G, review of successor agreement between Board of Education and the North Branford Federation Teachers. I'd like to welcome the Board of Ed and Superintendent and Business Director. If you'd like to come up and go over, or the Board Chair, Mr. Paternoster.
Thank you. We're here to answer any questions that you may have. And an email dated on the 29th of January. I just went through the 3 years of the negotiated contract and what that meant, the bottom line for each year. You were CC'd on that email, and I assume all of you had the opportunity to take a look at it. In year 1, the total increase was 2.78% of the teacher payroll. The second year, which is 15-16, the total increase is 2.76 of the teacher payroll. 16-17, the third year, there's step movement with no general wage increase, and that was at 3.5%. On the other side, we had a 1% premium share increase above our current premium share of 19, 20, and 21%. In the new contract, we'll go up to 22% in that third year, 21 and 20. There was very little language change in the contract, very simple language corrections and modifications, but nothing worth mentioning, nothing substantial. There were no changes in any of the extra stipend positions or anything there. You had a representative, Mayor King Laura was there at meetings and participated and was a part and listened to those 5 meeting dates. We concluded on a Friday evening. There was a snow event that canceled the meeting prior to, so we ended up completing negotiations on the Friday before the Christmas holiday, late Saturday, actually early Saturday. So, Mr. Winnick, you see any specific questions that you may have for the contract? We worked with our attorney who provided volumes of data on 38 towns that had negotiated and what the average increases were for those 38 towns. We had comparative analysis of towns that surround and border North Branford, and then the double bump of towns surrounding those existing towns. So we had quite a bit of information to rely on to negotiate, knowing that where we would end up if it was equitable average number of what other towns were getting. So I'll open it up if the board would like to comment on anything that I just stated, or Mr. Mickey's here to answer any questions.
And then there was just one change in a step, right?
Yeah, there
I
was
had to take care of.
over the course of the years, the steps had grown, and there was a discrepancy in the amount of monies between two steps. So in order to break that $6,000 swing between steps, we were able to negotiate in a step 11A. So in a 12-step scale, we added an additional step, and we noted it with the letter A. And that's, if you look at your email, that is spelled out with what that means, with how we shifted monies and streamlined monies to level some of those steps and some of the increases, especially to those who are at the senior, the highest level in that last year.
Scott, in the last contract, what were the increases in the previous contract?
There was a hard zero in the last contract.
And the second year, I believe, was about 4.6, because that was a step year. And then the third year was a no step and a 2% GWI.
So roughly 6.78.
We have had a number of step freezes over the last few years.
Don, not to interrupt you, but would you mind coming up to the microphone, just so the public, can hear? Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
You want me to dive down?
We've had a number of step freezes over the last few years, and so that's where that quote-unquote bubble between the top two steps comes from, because you tend to add money, and then if you have a step increase, obviously the top wooden step, so they usually get something at the top step. And so between 11 and 12, we had developed a bubble of about $6,000. So in the first year, we put in this step 11A, and the reason it's specifically called 11A is because it's intended to remain equidistant between step 11 and step 12. So it sort of floats it away from the rest of the table. The other thing that happened in the first year is the table was smooth. So there, we had some erratic steps before. We had some steps where there was a $2,000 increase and others where there may have been a $3,500 increase. Now they've been leveled out, so we're not dealing with that anymore. And then in the second year, $2,200 was added to every step, except the top step, which got $1,000. And as a result of that, 11A got $1,600. In the final year, there is step movement, but the top step got $1,000. So 11A got $500, and then everything else stayed the same.
Did that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, our target, after discussions, significant discussions with our labor attorney, was, the around that 9% number for 3 years was what he anticipated, and that was the average settlement for all of the data we had. And it's like anything else, you can always take a risk, but you're not guaranteed to get a better result.
We had our Anglit rating, we looked at that with our ability to pay, with where we're at with paying our teachers in the entire state of Connecticut at all levels. And we felt that this was a fair contract based upon the data that we were comparing other surrounding towns and districts with.
I guess let me just focus everybody on what the actual procedure is in entertaining this contract. You don't have to do anything, and if you don't do anything, for 30 days after the filing of the town clerk's office, the contract is final. You can vote to accept it, but it really doesn't add anything more than not doing anything, but you may want to do that. If you make a motion to accept it and it fails, you've rejected it. A motion to reject or a motion to accept that fails would plummet this process into binding arbitration, which would add additional cost and expense. So that's what it's on here as a review, but the legal significance of this is really part of the statutory procedure. They've come to a voluntary agreement. They're submitting it to the town for review. If the town does nothing in the 30 days, and we have about 21 days left, I think, then it will become a binding agreement. And your choice is if you reject it or fail to vote to accept it, you're in a different risk category. And basically arbitration panels, and I've been on one for 30 years, tends to split the baby. So there are going to be broken hearts on both sides probably. And
But split it in that they take generally 1 year from the
Yeah.
board, 1 year from the teachers, and the third year is,
well, thank you for correcting me. It's a 3-year contract. Someone is going to get 2 years, someone's going to get 1 year. And that would go for every issue. Well, it would go for the issues such as health insurance, premium, contributions. It would go for certainly the wages, step movement, and the distribution that was described would all be at risk. But I wouldn't underestimate, and you know where my orientation is, but I would not underestimate the fact that this is a voluntary agreement. The parties are left with getting back to work and without any frayed relationships or anger or discontent. It seems to me, I went through the entire agreement, it seems to me to be ordinary. I mean, there's nothing there that jumps out at me as being extraordinarily in favor of one side or the other. And the total settlement is certainly within the realm of the average settlements. So it's your judgment, but normally when I see a town reject, or a legislative body reject a contract, it's because of some extraordinary or exceptional provision that is objectionable to, not because of a 0.2 of a difference in a settlement or something of that nature. Because by rejecting it, you're going to be starting a whole new process in motion, naming arbitration.
If we rejected it, what would our basis be for, what would we send to arbitration?
You don't send anything to arbitration.
Okay.
By rejecting it, the parties are automatically put in arbitration. And they're free to stick with their proposals on specific issues or to change them. They can move off of it. In the old days, the parties, if you agreed to something and you wanted to literally you put the contract on the table and you would be guaranteed of getting a win by the arbitration panel. It doesn't work that way anymore. The parties are able to retreat to wherever they were before the agreement was made. This may have, I don't know this, I'm presuming this may have come out of a mediation.
It did, John.
Okay, which is all confidential, which means that the parties are actually put back in their position the day before they entered into mediation. And that could look very, very different on both sides from what finally came out of mediation, which is a confidential process of considerable compromising. And so both parties would now be sort of jockeying for a position in arbitration, and they would be free to resort to their pre-mediation levels on every issue. So
The other thing is, it's last best offer also.
correct. Every issue is, the arbitration panel does not have the discretion to come down in between on any language or monetary issue. So it really puts both parties at risk.
But, so, we as a town council don't know what the Board of Ed's last best offer was, and you're saying that's confidential, so.
No,
It'd be
I'm
a shot
saying,
in the dark to.
well, we don't know either, as the mediation is confidential. Parties are, in order for mediation to work, the parties must be able to stretch themselves one way or the other in that cloak of confidentiality without having it be held against them if it doesn't settle in mediation, for someone to say, well, in mediation, you proposed to go to X%, now you want to go back. So that's confidential, but also, frankly, the negotiations are also not public spectacles, and we would not, in our role as, or you would not in your role as the legislative body, other than to have a representative on the negotiating team who could keep you informed as to the status of negotiations, you would not be entitled to know that per se, and frankly, at this point, it's moot, because they have a different number and different terms that they've agreed to, and that's what's really before you right now. I mean, theoretically, you could say, well, I liked what I heard 3 months ago, in which case, the only way that could possibly happen would be for you to vote to reject. But again, it's important that you know that there's a certain chemistry that exists now that constitutes that contract, and if you start unraveling it because there's one thing or more that you think could have been done differently, better, or whatever, then the whole fabric is in jeopardy. And just personally, I don't see this. I see this as a fair deal. I don't see any party coming out, in an extraordinary position here. Or in other words, I don't see anything that has to be corrected. There's nothing here that jumps out at me that would say, oh my goodness, we can't let this stand. It seems like a fair contract.
John, what would it cost to go to arbitration if that happened?
I would say that to go to arbitration, of course, it depends in part on the number of issues, and once again, everything would be open here, depending on the ground rules that the parties agree to, but most likely everything would be open. I would say that, first of all, you have to pay an arbitrator. It's a 3-person panel generally, and then you share the cost of the neutral arbitrator. So just for the arbitration panel, my estimate is you'd probably be paying somewhere in the nature of, say, $12,000, $15,000, because there are hearing dates. There are what are called executive sessions, where the arbitrators meet to re-argue the matter and to review the evidence and so on and so forth. And for attorney's fees, which you would pay, of course, the board would pay 100% of their attorney's fee. It could cost upwards of, say, $25,000, maybe more than that. I don't know what the arrangement is, but it could cost the board, $40,000, and that's why I say if you're concerned about something like 0.1%, you may be talking about $1,000 or $3,000. I don't know what the salary count is, but it's probably not more than several $1,000s, and or even 0.3%, not 3/100ths or whatever it is. And the settlements are all over the lot. This is not the highest, it's not the lowest, it's pretty much in the center. So, I mean, I figure that the legislative body is in the process as a sort of a stopgap in the event somebody really agreed to something crazy. Okay, it really isn't, we really would have to find something outstandingly wrong to jump in and substitute our judgment for these folks who've been doing this for the last 6 months probably, and who are most familiar with their own educational product. So I'm putting in my 2 cents. You didn't exactly ask, but I feel it's helpful for me to give you that, and I also remind you that I do have a different orientation. But I think what I'm trying to give you is, I'm trying to be as dispassionate as I can and not have you go down a path that could actually cost more money and have less benefit. Or you could do great, you know, who knows? But it's, my guess is.
Yeah, we probably would.
We always hit it.
My guess is you're where you want to be right now, but that's your call. And, you know, so your choices are do nothing, thank the people for coming tonight. You can make a motion to reject, or you can make a motion to accept. The motion to accept is really, as I said, sort of an extra nostril or something. It's not really going to make a difference. And actually, you have more time to do this. I don't know that we have another council meeting, but
We do, in 2 weeks.
you do. So, you know, it could reappear. But I think I think it's an agreement that the council should feel comfortable with. You know, there was another team on the field, don't get me wrong. You know, it's a compromise. You know, it's not exactly what, that's the problem. We seem to look at these things as, well, I would like this to be, well, for you to get that changed, you might have to change a couple of other things. So that's the nature of negotiating, or the art of negotiation.
Well, and we also operate in the specter of binding arbitration, so, you know, for us to be too far afield, you know, ultimately doesn't serve us in the long run.
Correct. Do I hear crickets?
So, is there any further questions, or?
So the mayor was the council representative, so he knows what the last best offer of the Board of Ed was?
Last best offer.
Or not last, but before they started mediating or negotiating or whatever?
Depends on what they did at the last session. I mean, you know, that's, the council also, I'm not sure whether you actually did this, but there could have been a meeting even before everything started where you discussed what your, or they discussed with you and you discussed with them, you know, what the general area where you would like to see them come out at. And of course, that's subject to, again, a lot of external factors, the least of which is what we want or what you want. But I think the person who may have attended, if that's the mayor, he would have been there to on behalf of the council, if he saw something, for instance, that he thought was extravagant or not in the best interest of the town, that would be an issue that I'm sure would have been brought back. I don't think if we're talking 2.2 versus 2.3, that's something that would have been even appropriate for the mayor to get the council, you know, involved in. So.
When you look through the document that John and I had the benefit of sitting next to him, so if you look through the document that he gave us tonight, and you look at, you know, not just the surrounding towns, I don't know, do you know how many are in here? There's a lot. It's basically 284, 291, 293. That was the CEA average, and the Federation average was 338, 278, 395.
You're saying 3.2.
Right.
I think you're, let's see. Yeah, yeah, and these are the total costs to the teacher budget. In other words, it includes increment, if any, or any other distribution that may be unconventional. Basically, it's a general wage increase and a step movement, but because the settlement percentages are been pretty low for quite a while, you don't usually have enough money to move everybody on a step and give an equal amount of a general wage increase. So school boards and unions have come up with very creative distributions.
And excuse me, our step is pretty high, and that was one of the issues that we dealt with.
And in a typical situation, probably half of your teachers are on max and half are on step.
We're a quarter at max.
Oh, I mean, that's not typical.
Right. And so the step becomes more of an issue.
However, in fairness to young teachers, the reason they go into teaching is for the steps, not for the general wage increase. So.
For the lower teachers.
Right. No, that's only my wife. What's you guys' pleasure?
I will say it was a long process.
Especially the last night.
But we ate well.
I mean, if you look at the other towns, I mean, even the ones that were settled in arbitration aren't too far off where we're at. I mean, I don't, what it looks like here.
That's another thing,
I mean,
Don, that's a good point. Actually, there aren't very many towns that go to arbitration, and there's a reason for that. And that's what we were just discussing. There are like, and then there are different kinds of arbitration. There's only, as I see it, there are only three there are only 3 fully contested teacher arbitrations in the state this year, out of probably, I don't know, 50 contracts at least. So that's another reason why, parties, are not disposed to go to arbitration unless it's absolutely necessary. And if a town is proposing a 0 or something like that, or attempting to, typically it's the town's fault, of course, in my view. They either propose a 0 or they're trying to take away a benefit that's been there since the little red schoolhouse. And then, the teachers react to that. Sometimes you'll see the word stipulated. That does refer to an arbitration, but it means that the parties came to an agreement once the arbitration was commenced. Sometimes that's a little contrived so that it comes out as an arbitration award, but that means there was no contest in the final analysis.
I don't have any other questions.
yeah, I mean, I really don't have any
I
questions.
don't. I was there, been there, so.
Thank you.
So, Don, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Scott, thank you. And thank the whole Board of Ed for coming this evening. Thank you. Okay. Do you want to just let this sit and we'll
Yeah.
move on to the next? Okay. Okay. Item H, Planning and Zoning, referral of Rolling Meadows subdivision, proposal for open space at 65 Mill Road.
Yes, there's a memo from Carol Zebb in your packet outlining that application, and a piece, small piece on that would be for your consideration in terms of open space.
If I can just interject and just provide a few comments. Primarily, myself, looked at the proposed 1.3 acre open space parcel as part of this, 10 acre parcel that will be divided into 6 lots. it's both his and my feeling that it's best if it was not a town-owned property. It's more of a passive recreational type use adjacent to the farm river. I think Frank's concern is if it's town-owned, there's always some type of maintenance that's associated with it down the road. And we have a limited public works department. It becomes a burden on the town. If it was land trust, it still provides for the open space access. It's a passive type recreational piece. So I just wanted to provide that was our observation. Your consideration of it.
Isn't this unusual to come to the town council with the determination of whether or not these should be taken as open space?
I think it's on there that, in the regulations, that it be, to be offered to the town or the land trust. Carol wrote the memo off in terms of wanting to get the town council's opinion on it. If there was an interest.
I don't ever recall her asking before. Well, other than the size, is there anything else unique about this? Is the proximity to other open space that might make it desirable to close a gap in open space we have?
Well, it's along the Farm River corridor. That's one of the things that's conservation development, trying to protect the Farm River corridor. It abuts the Page's farm property, which is basically the development rights have been sold, so that's protected over there. But the primary thing is it's along the Farm River. And again, trying to protect any of the Farm River corridor.
All right, and if the town declines the 1.3 acres, they get a payment in lieu of open space?
No, they can be offered to the land trust. That's,
Okay, so if the land trust declines, then we get a payment in lieu of open space?
well, and to be honest with you, in my opinion, this is the right one to be deeded as open space. It meets the criteria for planning zoning divisions for everybody along the Farm River. And there have been preliminary talk with some of the land trust people. I think they definitely have an interest in it. It fits their, in terms of protecting a valuable resource on the Farm River.
Okay, so if I can cut through this cloud, you're saying the town shouldn't take it, but the land trust should?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
And there is access to that open space parcel from Mill Road?
Yes, there's direct access, and actually, for one other thing, there's actually, Pages have a right across that property to their farmland on the, which is to the south of this parcel. That is around, and I don't know the details of the deed, but I know some of the Pages, and there is on some deeds, they have provided access from Mill Road into the property across this parcel or farm.
So this 1.3 acres doesn't have a clean deed, it has a right of way across it?
Has, this is what I've been told, yes, it has the right of way across it.
I know they had when the bridge was done, Page had a gate up
And there's a
there
gate there
where he
that
crosses
abuts
it.
a 1.3 acre parcel, that's correct. It hasn't, to be honest, it hasn't been heard by the, the plan zoning it's on for this Thursday's meeting. Carol was just trying to get some input early on in terms of council interest. Currently, it's farm, planted corn by the Pages.
So the Pages rent that from Henry, right now, is what they're doing, most likely.
They farm, I don't know if they range, they farm.
Now, is that the entire Fort property there?
Yes.
The piece behind it is Page's?
The piece behind it is Pages, right. If you look at the.
So that total piece is only 10 acres?
Yes.
So the total piece is 10 acres with his existing houses and buildings on it?
With his existing house, there's a tree farm there as well.
Right.
Which shows up on the aerial photo in there. If you can see the trees, you
Yeah.
can see the field property over there.
So they're proposing 5 additional homes.
5 additional lots, and then one remaining lot, one larger lot with the 4 homestead and street line.
And they're all individual driveways coming out onto Mill Road in that short section.
That is correct.
Is there any action we need to take at this point on this, Kurt, or?
I think what you're looking for is a report back
Just
regarding
kind
if
of,
the town is interested in taking an open space or recommending another entity.
All right, I'll make a motion that the town decline taking the property as open space and request that it be offered to the land trust for their consideration.
Second.
Sounds good to me.
Moved by Counselor Fawnin, seconded by Counselor Angeloni. Is there any further discussion? Roll call?
Mayor Candelora?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth?
Stepped
She
out.
stepped
She
out.
stepped out.
Counselor Angeloni?
Yes.
Counselor Diamond?
Yes?
Counselor Fawnin?
Yes.
Counselor Fucy?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Item I, appropriation transfers.
One small appropriation transfer we're looking to accomplish here is the fire departments currently are relying on DSL for their internet access that dates back 10-plus years. And with the requirements today, they need to bump up to the Comcast. Basically, they're getting like a triple play like you have at your house with the phone, internet, and the television package all in one. For the current year, there's a shortfall of about $325 to accomplish that, and the fire chief's taking it out of his equipment maintenance account, $325.
Move the transfer as submitted.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Angeloni, seconded by Counselor Fucy. Roll call?
Mayor Candelora?
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni?
Yes.
Counselor Diamond?
Yes?
Counselor Fawnin?
Yes.
Counselor Fucy?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Item 13J, tax refunds.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Fawnin, seconded by Counselor Angeloni. Roll call?
Mayor Candelora?
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni?
Yes.
Counselor Diamond?
Yes?
Counselor Fawnin?
Yes.
Counselor Fucy?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Item K, contingency appropriations.
This is just kind of tying the bow on the two other things you acted on this evening. The settlement for the contract settlement service from CCM, $365, we rounded it for the rest of this year, and the sewer to Monday proposal, $2,400, both coming out of this year's contingency.
I'll move the motion as submitted.
Second?
Moved by Counselor Fucy, seconded by Counselor Diamond. Roll call?
Mayor Candelora?
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni?
Yes.
Counselor Diamond?
Yes?
Counselor Fawnin?
Yes.
Counselor Fucy?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
If I may, before we go into item 14, right before the meeting, I got a phone call from a police commissioner. I'm sure you're all aware, Lieutenant Dantico has retired from our police department, and in doing so, they've had to move an officer into that position. Also, there was a pending case that has been settled, and at one of our meetings, I believe we had said if that case was dismissed, they could replace that officer. And now,
With a lateral.
right, but now what they're looking to do is replace, because they're actually, what they're saying, down 2 men at this point, and they want to hire on the downside, grade C, like, a patrolman, basically. Whether it's a, lateral or not, 10-year lateral, I'm not sure, but, you know, right now, you know, their concern is burning through overtime and whatnot, and I, you know, knowing that there's a hiring freeze, so I told them that I would bring it up at the council meeting.
Why don't they come and present to us exactly what they want to do? Which they've
Yeah,
done in the
it
past.
doesn't make any sense to have a new hire because they're gonna go to school for 6 months and then,
Yeah,
It
that's
takes a
not,
year.
yeah, it's not a new hire. I think they're looking for a lateral with 10 years' experience or less.
that's not a grade C patrolman, that, they move.
Why don't you ask them to come to
So-
our next council meeting?
Well, that's what I had recommended, because, you know, they don't want to wait that long, but
It's 2 weeks.
the motto, I guess the biggest one is the motto, or that one, the hearing. I think we already approved that.
We did.
We did.
Yeah.
It was contingent on it.
Right, so.
If the case was resolved,
Right.
they could replace that
So
officer.
I just wanted to be clear with that one, and then I will tell them to come to I'll put it on the agenda for the 18th, so that we could look at going on the next.
You did hire the second laptop already.
To settle that case, when that case was settled, so that they already did.
So they already have that one. So now it's just,
Just the day it's supposed to stop.
So they need to come before us on that one
yeah, okay.
and explain what they want to do.
Agreed.
Very good. Item 14, citizen statements and petitions.
I would just like to commend our Public Works Department. Fran and the guys have done an absolutely tremendous job in snow plowing. And our roads, you can definitely tell when you cross the town line from North Branford into a surrounding town. And I have heard from a number of people that come from outside of town that they are thankful when they get to the border because they know that our roads are second to none. And kudos to, our hats off to Fran and his guys, because I know they have been working very hard, and I'm sure tonight's storm is gonna be no different. So they've done an excellent job in keeping our roads open.
I'll take it.
And,
So I'll go as a citizen and a counselor.
yeah,
I think that it would be, I think that it would be helpful if we could have Anthony, Finance Director Anthony, not Mayor Anthony, if we could have him give us kind of a rundown on our debt service, kind of like go back 10 years and go out 10 years so that we can see just where it's at. I know you've done it before but then, you know, coming into budget time, I think it'd be handy to know where we're at on the debt service, especially with a stagnant in this economy. That's my only comment.
all right. Are there any other citizen statements? No. Okay. I put an executive session on. John, do you have anything for executive session?
Not meaningful, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Well, I don't want to say unremarkable. I
Right.
have my own moniker
Kind
here
of put it as a
before.
placeholder, but, so we can.
I'll make a
I think that
motion
one's
to adjourn
trademarked, I don't think you can use it.
I know.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Counselor Fucy, seconded by Deputy Mayor Wentworth to adjourn. Roll call?
Mayor Candelora,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth.
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni,
Yes.
Counselor Diamond,
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin,
Yes.
Counselor Fucy,
Yes.
Counselor Rose.
Yes.